Good evening, Hard Talks fam. It's your trippy hippie Alicia jumping on the mic from good old Utah. It's Hard Talks with a blonde and a hippie. I'm here tonight with a very special guest, Mariah from Salty Sex Cast, and I'm so excited that you're here. It was literally like an impromptu thing that just fell together kind of perfectly, and so I appreciate you coming to my basement.
Yeah, of course. It is so rare for me to be available. So this was just the stars aligning. And I love how you always say, like, coming at you from Utah. And I was like, where else do you come at people from? So I love it.
I know. Well, and it's been crazy because, like, when you first start out, it's like, you're not going to be talking to anyone. Like, this is kind of for yourself, or at least for me, you know what I mean? And so when people did start to respond to it, it was like, oh. And I have, like, our biggest following is actually in Ohio.
It's not Utah.
Which is weird, right? So when I'm describing like areas or like where things are located, I'm like, I always try to put that in. If you're not local to Utah, like, here's where it is. And then like South Salt Lake comes second, which is interesting. But anyway, today Mariah and I will be getting to know each other a little bit. We'll tangent hard like I always do, but we'll also learn about her practices and her show, Salty Sex Cast. So it's going to be good, guys. But you guys know it's an 18 and up podcast. We talk all things controversial, difficult, taboo, sometimes wildly inappropriate. You know, you love it. I just don't want to be responsible for your children saying fuck or goddamn or talking about sexual things at their school. So slide in on your own time.
Oh, we've had to have that talk with my kids so much. I'm so open. And I'm like, it's not your responsibility to educate your friends. All you need to say is, hey, that sounds a little inaccurate. Maybe you should go ask an adult.
Right.
Because I've had to like warn my kids because I'm like, you know so much more than other kids your ages.
Yeah, my son is 4 and he's very anatomically correct. And I think that's important, you know, to have an open discussion with your kids, especially as their bodies are changing. You know, a lot of people are uncomfortable with that. But it got to a point where it's like, okay, bud, like, let's not tell other people about our body parts. It's really cool that you have a penis, and it's a special one. There's only one like yours, all right? Not to get weird, but I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, hey, man, like, it's cool, but maybe let's not talk about it. They're called privates for a reason. I don't know. But anyway, I know you mentioned you had kids. How old are your kids?
So I have 12, 10, and 8.
Oh, you're busy on top of everything else. And you said you work 3 jobs?
I do. I have my own coaching business. That's Balance Your Wellness. So I'm a board-certified health and wellness coach.
That's amazing.
So I coach folks and I teach them. I'm also a certified health education specialist. So I teach health stuff. So that's one job that's kind of on my own whenever I'm like, sure, I'll take a client or two. Yeah. I'm really, really light on that. Then I have an actual like 40-hour job with an online university teaching. And then I teach 2 courses at the university up the street. If you know where your studio is, people will probably figure it out where it's at. But yeah, I teach 2 courses there. So 3 pretty much jobs.
Yeah.
And the podcast.
Yeah, you juggle a lot.
Yeah.
That is crazy. So, I mean, does that include like sexual education as well?
Yeah. So the 2 courses I teach up at the close university.
Yes.
Is what we'll say. The university that will not be named on this podcast. Yeah. I teach human sexuality and wellness coaching.
That's awesome.
So in case any of my students listen, you don't know me. You did not hear this podcast. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I'm super passionate about health and wellness and education and actually knowing shit.
Yeah.
Before I guess not before. You should live life and make mistakes and learn from it. So
I mean, that's the only way you do learn, right?
Yeah.
Fall and get back up. And I always fall
and over
the worst type of way. Like, you know, it's like watching a car crash and you just can't look away. I'm that chick, like literally drunkenly falling downstairs. But we don't need to talk about that.
So the year after you graduated, I had that same type of year.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I was a shit fucking show, and I'm just like, good grief, I don't even recognize that person anymore.
Oh, I know. There have been so many freaking instances in my life I look back on where it's so embarrassing or so shameful that I've locked it away in the deep parts of my brain. I literally don't remember like big portions of my life. It was embarrassing how I behaved and carried myself. But I always say like the darkest and most dismal times are the times we need to be had and molded, like you were saying, into the best versions of ourselves. I just don't like revisiting those memories very often.
But I'm grateful for that person, because that person like showed me a lot of what the world really is. And
yeah, it's good to walk a few walks of shame every now and again, if you know what I'm saying.
I was humbled.
Live and learn. I think it's important to, I mean, I say that all the time, that knowledge is power. And with young kids, sometimes it's hard to navigate talking about sexuality and sexual education. I can't tell you how many people I knew growing up with, like in junior high, that called like their penises some weird ass random name, like a Peter, or like their John.
Yeah, exactly. And how many just weird names for different parts and different sex acts and things like that. And you're like, hold on, is that like innuendo? Or am I just dumb? Like when somebody says something, they all laugh. And I'm like, I don't know what that is, but I'll laugh too.
Oh, it reminds me of junior high when you're trying to keep up with all the innuendo. And no one wants to be like the jackass that doesn't know what it is. It's embarrassing. I can't tell you how long it freaking took me to figure out what a blowjob was. I went to private school of all places, and that's where I learned what it was. And 14, I was like, I literally couldn't figure it out. I was like, why do they call it a blowy if you don't blow, you suck on it? So I definitely feel that. But I mean, back to what I was saying, just kind of shows like that the parent is uncomfortable talking about it because they don't know how to approach it. You know what I mean? And I think it kind of like always was like one of those cringe things because my grandma, God rest her soul, sweet Catholic Irish woman, and I think it had to do with her generation too, because like talking about sex or your privates with younger kids, like that was very taboo. Mm-hmm. And that scarred me though. Like I remember being a young kid and she'd be like, did you wash your piggy? Is it all washed? Are y'all clean? Yeah. And I was just like, of all things in the world, like.
Was it because it was pink?
Please, if you ever figure it out, if anyone else knows anyone that ever called a vagina a piggy or whatever, like I need to know, does it look like one? No.
It can. There's nothing wrong if it does. We come in all shapes, sizes, and colors, and textures, and unfortunately scents. So sometimes you just got to make sure you're on the healthy spectrum.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I love Salty Sex Cast so much, because I think it's important to normalize talking about our bodies and our sexual health. It's one of the most uncomfortable things to talk about. I mean, I'm uncomfortable talking to my OB. I mean, but we all have insecurities. It doesn't matter if you're the prettiest or most handsome person in the world. Like, we all have our own scent. We all stink. But that's something that I've always been insecure about from a young age, because guys make it nasty, you know what I mean? Like, she smells fishy or whatever, and it's just like, yeah, and literally make such a big stink out of stink, pun intended. That's always been a thing about in my head. Let's talk about this, make a safe place where no one has insecurities, and if they do, like, we can normalize them, because ultimately we're all human and we all fucking stink. Nothing to be ashamed of, and that's a fact. Yeah, but I mean, if something's going on, definitely get yourself checked out if you're worried about anything down there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Any changes that you're not used to, that's when you should go get checked out. So if you're like, whoa, hold on, I'm like way dry, and I haven't ever been like that.
Yeah.
Something might be up.
Definitely.
I've got a discharge different color, different texture that I've never seen before. something might be up. So,
well, and that's another taboo thing. Like, women are embarrassed. They don't want to talk about that stuff. Again, I think it's important to kind of normalize that, UTIs or yeast infections, sometimes that's common in more women than you'd think.
Just even like discharge. And if you're squirming because I just said this word while you're listening, right? That was something I was so shameful of as a teen. I was like, there is something wrong. I'm like leaking.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be. And it's really just healthy. Obviously, this is a self-cleaning mechanism. Mm-hmm. And it was totally normal, but like I was so shameful of it. I didn't like to go swimming. I always wore a panty shield because I was like, I have like streaks of white on my underwear. Like, oh my gosh, something's wrong with me. And I just happen to be just a wetter than normal girl. So sometimes it could leak through to like my pants or something, but it wasn't
funny.
anything. Yeah.
The older you get, that's a good thing.
you want it.
You want it, right?
Exactly.
Guys hear that and they're like, excuse me? What'd you just say? Mm-hmm. But I mean, I think that's kind of very common. Everyone has that. At least I did. I don't know.
Yeah, and especially as you're going through like hormonal changes, and then after I got on birth control, it changed, and
birth
everything.
control.
Oh, yeah, I heard your story about the Depot shot.
Yeah, I've been on everything under the sun at this point. I am a fertile myrtle.
Yeah,
and I'm grateful for that. I have 2 beautiful sons, but at the same time, it's like, let's wrap that, double wrap it, and where's the freaking birth control? I got the Nexplanon in my arm now because I'm terrible with taking something orally every day. And I mean, and I had an IUD, and this might be, there's no such thing as TMI on Hard Talks, but I have a small uterus, which I learned because it was really painful to have sex with the IUD. I could feel it moving, and like the guys could feel it too, and so that was rough. But I think like maybe the Depot shot had such a emotional toll on me because my body wasn't used to those hormone levels. Had I taken it maybe after I'd gotten pregnant, it may be different just because my body already experienced some of those crazy hormones. You know what I mean?
The spikes and falls. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so weird. And I was a psychopath on birth control or pregnant. That's when my husband, I was like, like 3 pregnancies. It was hard on my body. Like, we were really glad that we have 3 kids, everything. And I was like, a few years later, I'm all, I would have been okay with 4. And he was like, fuck no, I was not going to deal with you pregnant a 4th time. Well, and really it was only 2 because he didn't even know me when I had my oldest. Mm-hmm. So my husband has adopted my oldest. So he's only been around 2 pregnancies, and that's all he can handle.
That's like a dream for me, though. Yeah. Being a single mom. I mean, and there's a lot of schmucks out in the world. There really are. For someone to come into your life and basically pick up where the other person left off, in a sense, that's huge.
Because you're not just dating for you anymore at all. It was a huge thing, and it was a huge thing I grappled with because I was 19 when I got pregnant.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh my God, had everyone push adoption, tell me I wasn't going to be a good enough parent by myself, like all these things. And it was just it was a really, really hard decision, and one that I was like, I made a mistake. When things got hard, I would always so I cried when I listened to your Birth Mom Strong. I was like, girl, I lived the other side of it. Granted, I wasn't in high school when it happened. I was just out of high school when I got pregnant. And it was really, really hard. So there was times that I asked myself, did I make the right decision? Would I have been able to, provide and everything? And then when I met my husband now, and he was adopted by his stepdad. They got married when he was 18 months old and was adopted by his stepdad, and has only known him and has taken his last name.
That's
so beautiful. When I met him, I was like, oh my gosh, this is just kind of like, what it's like to be raised by someone who truly accepts you as their full, child. And so it was really great when he was able to do that for my oldest.
Well, that's huge. Even though it didn't happen, you didn't get pregnant in high school, you still had to struggle through it, and I'm so glad that you could relate and it touched you. And maybe it's just like men who make everything look so hard, but 19 is still so young to have babies, and I'm glad that you met your husband. That's amazing. Yeah.
But talking about birth control, I have a hysterectomy. I don't even have a uterus. I can't grow a baby. And I still am like, oh, I'm not pregnant. But like you get those weird twinges or like your boobs get really sore. Like there's just like the signs. And I was like, oh no. I was like, oh wait, I don't even have that.
It's a serious concern though.
That's how scared I was all the time because I got pregnant with 2 kids on birth control. It was one. It was the final one that we were like, but it was because my IUD fell out. And then we were like, what do we want to do? And so we decided to have a third. But that was all. So I'm like, birth control is shitty as fuck. More men need to get vasectomies. They are reversible. They are super easy and they have no hormonal effect.
Yeah. We're talking to you, Texas. Excuse me.
Yes.
But seriously.
I'm talking to you, everyone. Be fucking responsible where you stick your dick.
No kidding. Like, girl.
Men will never understand unless they start having to take something to chemically change their bodies. You know, it's never easy taking on birth control. Like I was saying, like I've literally been on every single birth control that I could name, and it just takes such a severe toll on you.
We could fall down that rabbit hole hard. It's ridiculous though, because there's such a double standard held for women. Like as soon as you start talking about changing a man's body or them getting a reversible vasectomy, it's like they clam the fuck up. And it's like, oh, now you're uncomfortable because we're talking about changing your body now, you know, in the way our society still treats and talks about women's sexuality. Like it's something that we're waiting to give away and like we're flowers still. Like for one, what day and age are we living in? The fucking Renaissance still? And 2, you know, it's not something to be treated as a shameful thing. Feminine energy is fucking power. It's like seen as something dirty. You know what I mean? And we're waiting for someone and fuck that. Like absolutely not. Like, gosh.
Right. And we changed that one lesson, one education, one, scientific article at a time. Like that's all we can do. Because we can't change other people's minds, but we can give more science out there. We can educate the future generation and hope that it stops there. And we're shifting so much more than, think about when our parents grew up. Like birth control was still so taboo. I remember my mom talking about tampons and how taboo those were. And only loose girls or girls who had lost their virginity would use them.
Yes.
And so it's just like crazy when I'm like, I don't even remember using a pad. I think I went straight into tampon use. And so it's just.
I did too.
Yeah. Like there was like an awkward stage or like, then people would like, oh no, you're going to get toxic shock syndrome. And so I'd be like, okay, I'll sleep in a pad. And I was like, fuck that noise. I am not diapering myself.
No, and those don't work unless you're wearing like the jumbo ones they give you at the hospital after you have kids, which is literally a diaper. That is. You always leak, like, especially if you have a heavy flow. Sorry to my like 1% of male listeners. Like it's 1%. True. That's not true, but probably close.
And either way, they should still know about this because they are supporting other people in this world. You're either going to have a daughter or a wife or a friend or, anything. Someone who owns a uterus.
Oh, yeah.
Support them.
And y'all came from a mother. You better fucking thank her. I'm dead ass serious. Yeah. She pushed your dumb ass out of her vagina. I mean, you should like kiss the ground that she walks on. Labor, nay. That reminds me of the scene from Mean Girls, though, where she's like, someone wrote in that book that I have a heavy flow and a wide set vagina or something like that. I forgot what I was going to say. Just ignore me.
All right.
Move on.
We'll carry on. No worries. I suffer from anomic aphasia. So it's where I have a word I can't pull. Like it's in my brain and I can tell you everything that's related to that word. But like, okay, so if it's cell phone, for instance, I'll be like, oh my gosh, it's that one thing. It's a device that you use to call people. Like, and I can't think of the word. And it can be super basic words. It's usually nouns and verbs that I struggle with. So I'll usually just try to pick another word. but it pisses me off when I'm trying to write.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Grad school was a fucking shit show of me like right-clicking synonyms, like trying to hurry and like I was like, I know there's a specific word I want to use right now, but it's not. I can't recall it right now. So hard, but
I'm glad you told me about that because I've never heard of that before, and it kind of takes that phrase on the tip of the tongue to a new level.
God, it is so frustrating. And people make you like they think that you're dumb because you can't think of a word.
Right.
I still remember presenting at my graduate committee. So in front of all these professors to get my degree. It's like this final presentation, right? And we're talking about behavior change strategies. And there's one that's called the trans theoretical model. So it's like pre-contemplation. So it's when you're changing your behavior, like you haven't even thought of it. Then it's contemplation, and then you're preparing, and then you're like actually carrying out the action. And then there's not a last level, but a top level that's called maintenance.
Okay.
And I was like telling them all these things that you do in each level, right? And then I was like, and then the last one, that's not coming to me. And my like grad chair is like trying to mouth it from the back of the room, and I can see him, and he was like helping me out. He bless his fucking heart. He's just like, it's where you've hit that range and you just want to stay at that range. And I was like, bro, I know what I'm talking about. I can't think of the fucking word. And then finally he was just like, it's maintenance, Mariah, it's maintenance. And I was like, Jesus. And like population is another word I can never like recall quickly. So when I'm talking about like, oh, the population of this or whatever, or, you know, this type of population suffers from this kind of thing, that word never comes to me. So I'm like, that group of people. It pisses me off so bad.
That would be hard to teach.
It is.
Do you lecture?
I lecture and I give speeches quite often. I public speak all the time. So my notes or my speech notes are seriously bullet points of vocabulary words. Like it is not the story. It is not anything. I'm like, if I see the word, I can make it connect with the story or what I'm trying to say. But it's so funny because my friend's like, this is just a bunch of words. I'm like, right, they're the words that I usually can't remember in the moment.
That's important though. Like some episodes we do have to do prompters if I am dropping a lot of statistics. Like, oh God, like my memory is not very good. No. But I joke about it all the time because even some people ask, they're like, how do you have a podcast? Like your mind trails so hard. I was like, that's what makes it interesting sometimes. I tangent so hard, but I always come back. It just might be a really big circle. You know what I mean? Just hang on, we'll get there. But I mean, sometimes my prompters like are just words as well, because if it's too long, I can't like keep up in the conversation. You know what I mean? I get distracted too easily and then it doesn't sound like it flows. It sounds like it's scripted and it's just like, no, this is not working.
I was highly impressed that you can solo cast.
Oh
like
my God.
That. I was like, fuck no. I feel off of an audience or somebody. Like now I'm kind of slightly tempted to try it. See if I can.
So I appreciate that because if you took a look at like my edits with my solo cast, it looks like Freddy Krueger got a hold of it because they are cut and spliced, and it takes me a long time to solo cast and it triples my editing time. So I'm glad that you liked it and it sounded good. We're our own biggest critics, and I always wake up after publishing an episode with a little bit of a panic attack, like, oh, like is everyone gonna hate it? Get in my head a little bit. You know, but I mean, yeah. I was telling Dre this. I was like, my solo casts are really hard in the sense that, I mean, they're so long. Like I have to take breaks and then dice them all together. And when Sarah was still here, like we could just flow and I didn't really have to edit anything. And now I'm like sitting there. What did I just say? Like I have to go back and be like, so I really appreciate you saying that my birth mom episode resonated with you because that was really, really hard to record. It was a struggle for sure.
Really?
Yeah. So it's a learning lesson, you know, but I that's why I'm doing this. You know, I grow from it every day, and it really is a therapeutic process for me. I know you and I have been talking about that before we started recording, but it's so nice coming down here and having my feelings be validated. I've been trying to start filming, but I get too shy. Like I don't know. Do you film?
I do. We're on YouTube. That one's not hard. I don't know. If I like hold my phone up and try to do like a live, like a quick check-in,
Yeah.
like fucking social media, y'all. Like I'm on like the struggle bus hardcore. I'm like, I'm a consumer. I am not I do not produce social media content. I'm not a content creator. I hardly know how it works. So I may or may not have hired this sweet person to do my social media.
That's huge.
This poor
though.
guy was like, "Hey, I'm just on this, site where you can hire people for all these things." And I was like, "Hey, so what's your take on like sex?" And he was like, "What the creep is this lady doing?" But I was just like, "Well, you kind of have to have thick skin and really, like you can't be." Because I was trying to stalk him on social media to be like, how could you handle this? And there was like someone posted on his wall, like, "Oh, we'll pray for you and blah, blah, blah. We're having a prayer circle." I was like, "Oh, fuck. Yeah.
Maybe you're
gonna
not
die."
the guy for me.
But honestly, he's been great and he's found some great content. So I'm really happy about that. But I hate creating that stuff or like holding my phone up and doing like a live or something. Like that's not my personality.
Yeah.
I am face to face. Like my husband actually says this all the time. He's just like, "You are the shittiest texter." I was like, "Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I am. You have to be with me." Like that's where I loathe online connection because I don't feel it's it's such a surface connection.
Well, yeah, it's very disingenuous.
Pseudo. It is fake.
Yeah.
It is. I'm just going to show you one thing, but there's something about being on a podcast. You can call that bullshit real fucking quick when someone's scripted or inauthentic or just like there for the numbers or the popularity.
Yeah.
Which I'm just like, it's just obvious. And I don't want to tie myself ever to that stuff. And so that's why I'm like, social media is not my friend. I don't like it. So someone else can do that and I'll do all the podcast shit. And yeah, so I'm totally fine filming the podcast. I definitely don't look into the camera. Like I'm not like, "Hey,
I feel like maybe for
let me connect with you."
Yeah. I feel like maybe
That
it's
was my
like
sexy voice.
that was very sexual. I want to hear it again later.
Yeah, right?
Ready for sex. But I think for me, like suddenly like my invisible audience is not so invisible anymore. I don't know. It's just a head game that I play with myself. Because I could jump on here and talk about my entire life, which I almost have, and not have a real problem with it. But as soon as like someone starts filming, everyone's like, "You need to do it." And I'm like, "I know, I'm going to get there." I bought a couple cameras, but it's coming.
They all said the same thing about my Instagram. They were like, get it, do it, do it. And I was like, it's really hard to be on Instagram with any sex content.
Well, that's how I discovered your show.
Oh, really?
Because suddenly Salty Sex Cast just popped up one day on my Instagram.
Oh, cool.
And I was like, what is this? This is in Utah? Because I saw your pictures. And straight up, the pictures that you took on the salt flats are my absolute favorite. Like, you and I have the same brain almost because I was telling Sarah, I was like, as soon as you come back, bitch, we're getting silky dresses and we're taking old chairs out there with our microphones and we're taking a new photo shoot because our newest photos are from May of last year, 2 years ago. I don't even know. But whoever took those photos did an amazing job.
They're in Ogden.
Oh my God. Well,
Whoa photos.
Ring, ring.
Yes.
Yes. Turn the volume up. That would help.
Yeah, I will get you their contact. They're amazing. And she's done my photos for my coaching business too. And those are freaking beautiful. And those are a few years old. And it's always fun. You can like judge how old my photos are with the length of my hair. Cause like this is grown out from a pixie cut.
Oh shit.
So I have like, I don't know,
it's
like
beautiful.
mermaid hair.
That's all
Is
your
that
natural hair?
This is all my natural hair.
It's gorgeous.
My husband was like watching me do it today, which I'm like, dear God, it's a fucking hour from start to finish. Like it just takes so long. And he was just like, you have a lot of hair. And I was like, no fucking shit.
Wouldn't it be nice to roll out of bed and put your fingers through your hair and leave?
Yeah. No. This takes some effort, but once I style it, it's like pretty much done for the rest of the day, like rest of the week. Like I
Yeah.
can pretty much just like put it up in a bun at night and then take it down and it's all wavy and pretty. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
That's nice though when your hair holds a curl because some people's does not.
Yeah, you know hair.
Yep.
So you're like, yeah, I could tell. I'm in the market for a hair lady.
You
so,
you got nice hair, girl. You got nice hair. It's funny because I had a friend who's like, let's do something Friday night. And I was like, well, I have Elliot and I'm also doing hair. And then they're like, well, what are you doing tonight? I'm like, podcast. You know that. Podcast. And it's just, he's like, you're always busy. And is like, cheers. Yeah, I am. Like between, it's crazy what you can accomplish in a day. Like we always say that there's not enough hours in a day, but like if you have the determination, absolutely, you can get a lot of shit done.
If you have a strategy and a plan and you have a time and a place, you know, that's something I've had to like learn to, this is the time for this task. Mm-hmm. And I can't feel guilty when it's not completed.
I always do that to myself.
I do. And I will lay awake at night and I'm like, oh my God, there's one load of laundry I didn't fold. Like, fuck this noise. But
fuck that. I have like 5 loads of laundry. That I'm the worst at laundry. I will do it all like in a day and then it never gets put away. I am literally that person. I'm the worst.
It drives me nuts. It's one of those things like that's the one thing that I'm like, I actually do enjoy it because it's the time I get to listen to podcasts. I work from home. I don't fucking drive anywhere anymore. And like, what do I do? And I have a social job. Like I am working. I'm on video conferences. I am talking the whole time. So it's not like I can listen to stuff.
Yeah.
So that's like when I do chores or like work out is when I listen to podcasts, which like, so if anyone ever sees me at the gym and I'm like crying or laughing or something, just know I'm listening to a podcast. Like,
not a midlife crisis, guys. Just let her be.
Silently crying on the stair mill.
I do that in my cubicle. So, but nobody comes up and asks. So, I mean, I think I'm kosher there. What made you want to set out and start your podcast?
So that actually started because of my coaching business. So my niche or like niche, if you really want to be bougie, is
Caramel or caramel,
right?
Yeah.
Is body image. So I'm a wellness coach, health and wellness coach. Most people come to me because they want to lose weight, right? Which breaks my heart. I hate it. I don't hate weight. I hate that society has put value on weight.
Yeah.
And so that's what we work on mostly and is, you know, what's going on with the weight loss that you're wanting? Mm-hmm. Is it really because you want more energy? You want to feel confident in the clothes and in your body and your skin?
Yeah.
You can do that without weight loss. Sometimes the weight falls off because you're already doing other healthy things that are giving you the energy, that are making you feel confident, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But that's a secondary. We don't want it to be your primary focus. That's a secondary thing. So I'm always in coaching sessions and we talk about body image. We talk about like seeing yourself naked and all sorts of things, and sex and sexuality and intimacy was constantly coming up. But it was skirted around, or it was very, very shameful that like, well, you know, I just want to feel good naked.
Yeah. That's something I still struggle with sometimes. I think that's human nature, especially for females. You know, our bodies are constantly changing, especially after children. And
right. And even though I have no partners or like my spouse says I look fine. And so then like more sex topics would start coming up. And I was like, it's not just me. Like everyone feels so much shame.
Absolutely.
And it's the secrecy and taboo. And I was like, what the fuck, society? You did us dirty. Yeah. And so I wanted to be a podcast that pulled back that curtain, but not in like a, here's me, fuck all of you, I'm going to be what I want to be. It's more like, let's just get comfortable walking out for a minute.
Yeah.
Let's just get comfortable with peeking behind the curtain. What could be behind there that's going to help you be a healthier, happier person? And so it really started being a lot of fun topics. So there's a lot of fucking fun. Like we have a lot of fun. But really it was essentially just to give somebody something that they could walk away with that puts more back into their cup. You know, I think we drain each other. And not on purpose. And like society has a lot of negative things to say about sex, sexuality, intimacy, anything like that.
Well, and the standard
It's a fucking double standard.
It really is.
It's really, really sad. And a lot of that pressure actually comes to women. We hold a lot of that weight on our shoulders, where men can kind of skirt around that. And, you know, then we have our folks that don't claim a gender, you know, or non-binary. And then we have a lot of things that like society is just completely looking over or saying you don't belong, you don't matter, your lifestyle, your who you are essentially like doesn't matter. And so that's why I was like, oh hell no. So I get fired up a lot.
Yeah. I love it.
But it's really just to be a positive voice in that dark corner we're all scared to look into. So it's like, hey, we're here. We're still happy to have you no matter how you come. Come with your own biases. Come with your shame. I'm still here to have that conversation. I'm not blaming you because you didn't know what this meant.
Yeah.
Or that you've never tried that. Or that you like claim to be super vanilla. Be fucking super vanilla, but be happy about it.
Definitely.
Like, I think there's a lot of shame because there's such a big spectrum, right? And so people on one side are shameful because they're not like the people on the other side.
Right.
And it's like, no, we get to have our place. And we get to move around and we get to change. Yeah. We get to grow. And
that's another standard society is put on us, right?
Ugh.
We always have to be concerned or looking over the white picket fence at someone else's life. And to your social media comment, like that's very much where everyone is, at least in a first world scenario. And it's just sad. Like there is no genuine authenticity behind connection anymore.
And two, we're constantly comparing ourselves to someone we're viewing through social media or, you know, other people that we see throughout our day. And I've been trying this new thing where I'm like, rather than being, man, I wish I was doing what they were doing, or man, I wish I could be doing that. I've been taking the initiative and taking action throughout my day to be like, no, like I am doing this and I am that person. So, you know, dude, like I think what you're doing is great. There are so many platforms out there where they say they're totally non-exclusive. But in reality, it turns out that it is exclusive, or you have to fit this mold to feel like you're a part of something. You know what I mean? There's no connectivity. So I love what you're doing, and I've loved who you've had on the show. You're killing it. I can't say that enough.
I love what you've started because it's something that needs to be normalized. It needs to be easier to open up and talk about our own insecurities and like what we are worried about, where we might fall short. You know what I mean? Because nobody likes to admit where they might be lacking or failing. I mean,
it's important. It's important for your mental health, and it's important not to feel like you're alone.
It's something that should be normalized. Like you and I are having this conversation right now. And I think maybe like as society evolves a little bit, it'll be a more acceptable topic to talk about. I think you have amazing content. You're funny as hell. I was telling Justin and Angel.
The gents are friends from the other side of the beehive who will actually be on Hard Talks next Friday.
I was like, I'm so excited because I get to meet Mariah. And they were like, oh, we know Mariah.
Mariah. Oh, they've seen me drunk. They've seen more drunk Mariah too. So.
I think Angel's words were something like spicy. She's sassy or spicy or
spicy is what I like to always use, because spicy has that like, it's not negative.
I know,
but it's not everyone's flavor.
I like sassy too, though. I literally have sassy tattooed on my ass.
That's awesome.
But, you know, it's like the classy sassy, not the trashy sassy.
Well, and I like, you know, and sassy is fun too. And I think, you know, because spicy could be fun and like
I think
spicy bedrooms. But yeah,
Ooh,
feisty. Yeah. And so it's just kind of like, all right, because I'm not always sassy. I am. Let's be honest.
But you're lively.
Yeah. And so that's what I mean. I think my husband was so upset with me. Not upset. He was, dear God, this is the woman I married yesterday. It was Friday night, okay? I was going to have a couple
Friday.
I was going to have a couple drinks by myself, and I was grilling chicken and got drunk by myself.
Hey, girl, cheers to that. Hell yeah.
Yeah. And so I was quite obnoxious. I will admit. I was like being funny and stuff, and he was just like, just chill. And I was like, no, I'm happy. Like, I'm having fun. And like, go be boring in the corner. Let me be by myself.
Oh, put baby in a corner. Oh, no. I feel that. Like, it's fun to vibe and, like, drink by yourself sometimes. I just, had to slow down for a while because I have this little thing called self-awareness, and I'm, like, self-aware to a flaw where, like, I know I'm crashing and burning, but I continue anyway. But, I mean, I'm that drinker that's real fun until I'm not. You know what I mean? And I think that's something that's not talked about enough either. Like, how often do we look in the mirror and call ourselves out? Like, how often are we the toxic ones? I think that needs to be normalized and talking about too. We need to hold ourselves accountable. It's a big thing that plays into opening up and talking about personable things or being vulnerable about your insecurities or whatever, like where I know I might be going in a downward spiral motion and I can talk about it and be like, yeah, it's probably not good for me. And then I go and do it anyway. Like, you know what I mean?
It's so much easier to not be aware. And then you're like, oh yeah, that was kind of fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But then when you're aware and you're like, I'm going to fucking do it anyway.
Yeah. Because then people are like, well, why do you continue to do it? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I know this is bad for me and this is bad. And I see this and they'll try and give me advice. And then I'll like literally give myself advice that they're trying to give me before they can give it. And I'm literally like, I know this already. Like, I just have no self-discipline, I suppose. Like, I don't know.
I am one that if you tell me to jump, like, if you jump on the bed, you're going to get hurt. Mm-hmm. I'll be like, all right, I'm still going to fucking find out. I can watch you jump on the bed and get hurt and you jump on the bed and then get hurt. And I'll be like, you guys are so stupid. And then I jump on the bed and get hurt. And I'm like, oh. Yeah, I did get hurt, but you're not right. You're still not right.
Yeah. I have
to learn it my own self. I do. And even if I can be very, very like realistic, I know I can talk some sense into myself. I can see exactly where I'm headed and I know the consequences that are coming with that choice. Mm-hmm. I'm still fucking doing the choice.
I'm glad I'm not alone in that.
You're not. Not at all.
It's like, I'll even like lay in bed at night and be like, why do you continue to do these things? Like, you see these patterns, you know why you have anxiety right now. So why do you continue to do it? And then the next day I continue to do it. Yeah. I don't know. I remember, like, I'm glad you brought that to that. Like, I remember being 14 years old and I was a little hellion. And my dad picking me up from fucking detention. He had to wait for an hour and a half. And he's like, God fucking damn it, Alicia. Like, when are you going to learn that you should not go and pick like the hard door? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, we're always walking on a pathway. And we always come to a fork in the road or two different doors. You have your easy door or you have your hard door.
Oh,
Pick the fucking easy door.
No.
And I remember this like it was yesterday. I was like, well, what's behind the hard door? And he's like, that's not the fucking point. Like, right? Pick the easy door. No.
The hard door, you get to innovate. Mm-hmm. You get to walk the path no one else has walked before. You get to be that person who makes that decision. I'm not following someone else because that's what they did. That does not look pleasant for me. I'm not about the easy life. I want to do the hardest thing possible and grow from it. Mm-hmm. It sucks. It hurts. It doesn't feel great along the way. You learn a lot of hard lessons. But you know how much you grow, or you're going to stay stagnant walking through those easy doors. So you have to decide for yourself, what do you want? Is today an easy door day? Because some days it's going to need to be. Yeah. And then there's other times it's like, no, I'm going to go pave my own way. And I'm going to know it hurts. It's going to be a lot of growth. And then guess what? I get to bring those lessons for other people if they want to hear them. I'm not going to choke people with my own thing, but Yeah, it's super fun. My therapist loves me because I sit here and he hardly says anything. And I'm like, this, and this, and this, and this. And I know this, and this. And I know that this is happening and I know exactly this. And I forgot what this is called, but I know what it is. And it does that and blah, blah, blah. And he's just like, yeah, exactly. And I'm like, right? But I still do it, And so it's so funny because he's like, yeah. And I'm like, you want to board this bullet train with me today? Because I'm going to tell you everything that I know you're going to tell me. And I already know everything. And that's why I put off therapy for years and years and years. Because I was like, they're not going to tell me anything I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And
and I used to think that way all the time. Yeah. And I have been struggling because I've been back to a couple therapists recently because you guys know I need it. But
everyone needs it.
Everyone needs
a therapist.
It's a godsend. Like therapy. I mean, sometimes you go in and like you said, like some therapists don't even have to say a fucking word. And sometimes you leave and you're like, what did I pay you for? But others can just sit there and it's all about their demeanor, right? Sometimes you can let it all out and leave and be like, okay, you didn't have to say anything. I feel better. But some therapists, like it all depends on who you see. And you have to have a good connection with them.
Different personalities, different needs, different specialities. Specialities? Yeah, specialities.
We've said it too many times now. I can't think of the right way to say it. Specialization. No. Nope. We're going to fucking hack this. You and I.
Yeah. We're together.
Our brains are very similar, it sounds like. We'd be on the same wavelength, girl. We'd be on the same wavelength.
Yeah, so that's exactly, and so that's why I wanted to put off therapy, because I was like, no, but there's something to be said when someone can say, hey, you keep saying this. What does that mean to you? I'm like, yes. You be that person when I am on that hard door, when I am in the weeds and can't quite see on the other side. Yeah. You're kind of just saying, hey, just keep going. There's something on the other side kind of thing. But
it's a reassuring thing.
It is. And it's such a healthy thing. And coaching, life coaching, wellness coaching, whatever you choose, if you have a good coach, can really help you see that other side too. If you're needing process help, to process hard emotions that you've already passed and past things, therapy is for you. Don't try to pick coaching for that. There's a specialty area for. I knew I was going to say it. Specialty.
Well, you got it before I did,
right? So. I'm like, it'll just come naturally if I force it and it lube up my voice cords enough. So
lube them up.
Right? Yeah. So that's just something that I really appreciated and really appreciate. Just I know that about myself. I'm gonna fucking pick the hard door. And I'm okay with that. I finally that's not something I'm afraid of anymore.
Well, and it's good to be self-aware. It's good to see how you can be better and how you can grow, of course. But when you defy it, that's when it gets to be a whole nother ball game. Remember my tarot episode, guys, where I was like, it's all about following your intuition and that little feeling we get in the pit of our stomach that we constantly ignore. That's me. Hey. But that's why it's so important to find a therapist that works for you. I've been to a lot of therapists where our personalities don't jive, and it doesn't work. So sometimes you have to go through several before you find one, and that's unfortunate and sucks, but therapy it does work. And I've said it time and time again, podcasting has been a big form of therapy for me now. Looking back on everything, I feel like I've subconsciously been looking or searching for some kind of approval from some unknown source. And I've lived my whole life thinking that I was the only person like that, right? And I'm sure so many of these listeners are going to be like, oh my God, I feel that. I've been there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so just talking about mental health too. And I mean, shit, I understand why you do what you do, because I'm sitting across the table from you and I'm like, man, she's inspiring me. Hey, damn.
How therapeutic just to speak into a microphone and then be able to listen to it back.
Yeah.
I'm like, Jesus, I don't have to publish my episodes and they're still helpful for me.
Well, and I say that all the time too.
Growth. Well, for one, I get a lot of special Fuck, I did it again. I get a lot of professional folks. I'm going to pick a different word.
Specialty.
Yeah, right? Who are so qualified to do what they do, and they have amazing things, and they bring something to the podcast every time. And every time I always learn from somebody, even if it's not somebody who is like a professional in their field or whatever. It's just someone who's bringing in their own perspective. It's so fun to hear and to gain more like awareness.
Yeah.
I'm expanding my awareness. I'm reflecting back on me and saying, hey, what does that look like in my life? I don't know. I've actually never thought of it. So it's really fun just to have that. There's so many aha moments on my podcast. I'm like, oh my God, that's embarrassing.
I know. And like some of my more vulnerable episodes where we're talking about deeper things, especially personal ones to me, I mean, those are the hardest episodes. It's easy for me to jump on and talk about sex or be crass or joke around, but to really like bring down the wall a little bit and be like, hey, this is where I've been and this is what I continue to do. And I'm still here persevering, especially since I was at a point where I didn't think I'd ever get to this point.
Oh, shit.
Lots of aha moments because I think I even said that on the birth mom episode. I was like, you guys don't realize, like, I literally locked all these memories up and put them away in the back of my mind. And so talking about it, you know, I could be having a really shitty day and I come down and I spill my guts and I feel a big sense of relief afterwards. And I don't think the people listening realize like how helpful they've been in my own growth. You know what I mean? And that's what I say it all the time too. I was like, you guys are helping me more than you could imagine. And this has been just a whirlwind, crazy experience of, I don't know.
I can never stop doing this. I don't see an end. You know, like it's like, oh my gosh, it's kind of addicting.
Yeah. I had one person email in and we started going back and forth and they were like, so like, because a big question that a lot of podcasters get is like, well, what's your podcast about? I'm like, everything. like, what do you?
Hard talks, everyone.
Yes. Angel was like, you should rename it Flaccid Talks. I was like, thank you for that.
You should just have a special segment for your patrons.
I know. So
Flaccid
since
Talks.
Sarah, she is like addicted to porn novels, we decided to do her erotica readings for our patrons because they are juicy. Holy moly. I felt like a kid.
Church? Oh.
Well, I feel like if I walked into church, Catholic, Mormon, non-denominational, the building might fall down or they might look at me like that. But
You were fanning yourself, so I was like, yeah, I know what that feels.
I was just like, I felt like a horny little, like a junior high kid. Like I was like listening to something that I should not be listening to. And it was like, my cheeks were rosy and I was getting hot. And I'm like, geez, Sarah, like, how do you read these to yourself and like maintain like any like spatial awareness or anything? And she's like, I don't.
Right.
I get lost.
That's so fun. That's super fun for your patrons. Yeah, it's the conversations, and I heard someone talk kind of some shit about, oh, everybody and their dog has a podcast now, blah 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 blah. And it's do you like my male voice? It's always men. Right? But I was like, you know how nice it is to have these thoughts and to have other people appreciate them.
Yeah. It's more than journaling. Because, I mean, I recommend journaling to everybody. That's another form of therapy. But having them be validated in some form.
Even if you disagree with me, let's have a fucking conversation.
Absolutely.
Because if I can't defend my thoughts, or not even defend, but like listen to your, different opinion open-mindedly, like I'm cutting myself off from a growth opportunity. And so that's why I love to have people on that I'm like, oh, I actually didn't think of that, or don't quite agree, So I'll just say that, like, I don't always agree with everybody who's come on the podcast, but doesn't mean I don't respect their thoughts or their view.
Yeah.
And I do try to stay objective as possible, especially with sex. We have enough fucking judgment And that was something that always is like a pet peeve when people are like, well, I don't do that. And I'm like, oh,
But you wish you could.
right? But it's just like, oh, you just shamed someone who actually probably got some, like, a brave moment to say something.
Yeah.
And that's what we're fighting against. So it's just kind of like, oh, all you have to say is thanks for telling me. You don't have to say you disagree or that it's wrong or that it's dumb or, just say, oh.
Your opinion is your own, not everyone else's.
That's a little different from what I thought, but thanks for telling me. How crazy would life be if we went around like that when we disagree with folks?
That's huge.
Yeah. So
that would literally like impact the world. Like, imagine. I don't know if we would have as many wars. Like if everyone was like, hey, yeah, this is where we're at. Let's just talk this through for a moment.
right.
If we could do that and have an open conversation, I think world peace might be possible.
Well, it's even like topics right now: abortion, vaccines, masks, and it's just like, okay, I see it differently, but I also honor that you have a choice. Granted, your choice has consequences that could hurt people, and I can't take away that choice because then I'm actually hurting you.
Yeah.
So it's really hard. Like there's times that I cringe and I have to listen to things and I'm like, ooh, buddy. And I'm like, and my husband knows this face that I give when we hang out with his parents and like his family, my in-law, like all my in-laws, and they just say shit. And I'm just like, oh, fuck. If they knew how progressive, like how other side of this spectrum I actually lived my life.
Yeah.
But I honor and like I haven't spoken up because it would probably hurt his relationship with his family, which is hard because my family, I'm like, sorry, this is who I am and this is how I'm going to be. I'm not going to like protect you from hearing my opinion if you're going to share your opinion with me kind of thing.
Right.
But I'll respectfully share it anyway. But I'm just like, ooh, bite your fucking tongue, don't say anything. That's actually one reason why we film is because my facial expressions. So he's just like, you can not say something, but everyone knows what you're thinking.
Everyone has been like, your emotions, you wear them all on your face. And
Yeah.
I'm such a animated person. Like
my hands, everything.
everything. So I know I'm going to make it happen before Sarah comes back. That's the biggest goal on the list.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how accomplished I will feel when I'm able to check it off.
Right? I've heard the same thing about Twitch, and I've had several people say that, and I was like, no one wants to sit there and watch me on the computer because that's pretty much all I do. It's like I just work on the computer. I'd have to switch it off if I meet with clients because that's obviously like, protected information. Mm-hmm. But it's just so funny. I was like, yeah, I don't want to deal with another social media platform.
Right.
If someone wanted to take that and then like take a cut, you can follow me around with a camera. I don't give a fuck. Like, I do not care. But it's really just having to deal with all of the admin stuff, the editing.
Yes.
All of that. Like, and I do all of my editing.
Yeah, me too.
And it takes a lot.
Yeah. Some episodes are easier to get through than the others, but some I'm like, the ones with me, like I was saying, I'm just like, Jesus, I hate the sound of my own voice. I really do.
Really?
I really do. I don't know why. And my laugh, I think that's what gets me.
There's times that I'll re-listen to shit and I'm like, God damn, Mariah, just shut your mouth.
Or you go in and click on just like one random portion. You're just laughing hysterically. And I'm just like literally like, oh God, like hard cringes. But it's I don't know. Like we are so self-critical about ourselves. We are our biggest judges and critics. So, I mean, like a lot of people have been like, your laugh is funny. My friend Serena has even been like, I've never watched the show, but she's Meredith Grey from
Yes, I know.
Doctor.
What is it?
Grey's Anatomy.
Grey's Anatomy.
I was gonna get a lot of shit from people if I didn't remember that.
Right.
But
it was your moment of anomic aphasia. That's what
I'm gonna remember that forever. Anomic aphasia.
That's the one word I can fucking remember anytime.
How were you diagnosed with that? Like, how did they figure that out?
So there are like tests and all sorts of things, but I was like, I just can't remember things. I thought because I have a lot of family members that suffer from memory loss and Alzheimer's and everything.
You and
I was really worried. I'm in my teens and I'm forgetting things. I was so scared I was like ill or I had a brain tumor. And really it was just like, well, there's this thing, and there's a lot of therapy. There's speech therapy that you can go to help you like recall things, but it is so intensive and so expensive for not a huge increase, and it stops as soon as you halt therapy. It is not a long-term thing. So I'm like, if I continue therapy, like this speech therapy and this recall therapy, it's a specific name. Of course, I'm not going to fucking remember it right now. Then it'd be fine. But I'm like, that's a huge thing in my time. I'm just going to tell somebody a different name for what I'm thinking of, which sucks because people think like, you know how everyone makes excuse like, oh, I'm terrible with names.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, no, I will have my best fucking friend from like elementary school next to me and I'm trying to introduce them and I'll be like, oh, what the fuck is your name? And I'm like, oh my God, I've used it so many times. It is the worst. I totally ran into a friend at a concert recently and I was like, fuck, I know who she is. We fucking partied hard in high school. Like, what is her name? And I was like, oh my God, I can't think of it. So I'm like on social media trying to find it. And I was like, shit, what is it? And she was like, Mariah. And I was like, hey, whose name I can't remember. Hey, girl, you know so much about me, but I can't think of your name. I felt so bad. Anyway, that's just something, it sucks. It sucks so bad. And I was like, it's really not that I don't try. It's really just recall. And especially when you get put on the spot, like that makes it even worse.
Yeah.
Anyway.
What's crazy about that is I joke about that all the time. Like, it's a sick joke. I have sick humor. You guys know that. But I tell people that all the time because I will literally like be looking for my phone on the phone with somebody, or I will be looking for my keys.
Make someone want a drink right now.
It's crisp. What are you drinking? A Truly?
A Truly tea. They're not in Utah. I had to go over the border for these ones.
That's where you find the best things.
Evanston, thank you.
Dude. But I mean, I always was worried about that too. I'm going to die from Alzheimer's one day.
Right.
Or memory loss. And that's something like I joke about, but it scares me.
Yeah, but you won't remember that you are scared of dying from memory loss.
I guess that's true. But I always think of that like scene from The Notebook where she's with her husband and then, you know, she loses that lucidity and all of a sudden she is scared because she's with a stranger. And I can imagine how confusing it would be.
It's fearful and it is. It's very confusing. So I shouldn't make light of it at all. I saw my great grandma go that way and just was very, she would get easily upset, you know, and it was really, really sad. And then my grandma now is really struggling with some of that stuff. And I was like, this is my future. I want everyone to make shit up every day for me, okay? Just tell me, like, I live this life. Like, is it 50 First Dates?
Yes.
I'm like, just tell me I'm that cool. And
you're married to that guy over there. He's a multimillionaire. You walk up, hello, husband.
Yeah, right.
All of a sudden, he thinks he just scored the jackpot, right? Yeah. Wake up next morning and you're like, who the fuck are you?
I think that's why I live so hard and heavy now. Because I'm like, tomorrow's never guaranteed. I don't know what things could happen. Like, why wait for tomorrow?
Yeah.
Which sometimes isn't the best way to live. Like, there are still consequences and long-term consequences. Like, I feel like such a big fucking girl in big fucking panties because I have a 401k. I'm like, ooh, yeah, look at this. Like, I'm hot shit, you know? But it was really kind of, I just lived day by day for so long and it was survival. And I finally was telling my therapist and I like fucking broke down and I was like, I don't know how to do the other parts of not survival.
Right.
Like, how do you not do, like, how do you just, you're surviving, you're doing it, you're doing great. Now how do you go to the next level of the pyramid that I can't think of right now? It's the, it's not. So it's like the first one's like food and shelter and things. What's the next one? Then it's like love and action and fuck, I know this. It's Maslow's hierarchy of basic needs. Fuck. I knew it was going to come to me. It didn't come to me. I had to look it up.
Hey, we're all guilty
but
of
I'm
it.
like, I know this like little triangle. I know how all the different levels. Yeah.
What I'm guilty of is I'll literally have to be like, stop and like look it up. And then I just cut it. So it all seems seamless.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'd have a lot of long pauses, fam. But I mean, this wild basin is good.
Yeah, I am trying to try new things.
Yeah.
Usually I'm like tequila only girl. And then I found these Truly teas are really good. But guess what? I'm only drinking the lemon ones. So it has to be like super tart, I guess, for me to like drinks. I like sours, like beers that are sour. So, and if it's a sour, I like it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I remember what I was going to ask now. Sorry.
I figured if I droned on for a minute, it would
you're
come
good.
to you.
It did. I appreciate that. But I mean, so since you have people coming on your show or you're talking about, sexuality and being more accepting of that or open about it, is it easy for you to talk about your own personal experiences and your own sexuality?
I've never not had a hard time doing that. Never not. I've never had a hard time doing that. And so it really wasn't until I was married, which I was like, oh, that involves another person. And I should probably respect his privacy because he is so private. He doesn't talk about shit and he hates about. Like this was a fight. Maybe not a fight. It was a discomfort for many episodes because I'd share a lot of information and he'd be like, why did you tell strangers this? And I was like, why wouldn't you tell strangers this?
It's easier than telling the people we know.
Well, and even the people I even know, I don't give a fuck either. But like, I've just stopped caring what people think about me. And the more we are honest and open and talk about those struggles, because I don't just tell you the good things. I tell you the good, bad, and the ugly, right? Like, I am not afraid to be like, oh, yeah, so that was a fucking shit show. And it just validates the human experience.
Yeah.
Because if I don't say it, who will?
Exactly.
If not me, then who? Someone do it.
Yeah. I mean,
come join me. I don't know.
It's kind of a freeing and liberating way to live your life, though. I mean, the less you care about what other influences think of you or what you're talking about, the more freeing it is. But anyway, guys, I think we're going to wrap it up soon because my computer is hating me right now. Granted, this laptop is also 8 years old. It's time
yeah. Oh, girl, that's ancient.
Time to level up a little bit, but I don't know. It's just
you can donate on Patreon to get my girl a new laptop.
Dude, and this one's warped. Like, my sister used to use it in high school, and she dropped it with a what the fuck ever, a jump drive in the side, and so it's all fucked up. Like, it doesn't close all the way. Yeah, it's awesome. But, your girl's a broke bitch, so.
Your girl's a broke bitch. Where can they find you on Patreon, Alicia?
They can find us at, you guys know I'm terrible, patreon.com/Hard Talks with B and H podcast.
/ or / because fuck, I've been saying the wrong thing forever. Do the slashy thing.
/ is this way, right?
Right? Okay, hold on. Patreon.com / Salty Sexcast is what I've always said.
Yeah. Here, girl, I have some stickers for you. It's on there and everything.
Yeah, if I've steered people wrong. /
I always thought it was like the / like this way.
I don't know.
But this is a /.
I have no fucking clue.
If that's the case, then I've been misleading people.
And we're not searchable on Patreon because we're adult content.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my God, you just blew my mind. No fucking way. Okay, that sounded so stupid without any context, but I literally, when I first put everything up, like I had so many people be like, your episode's not up. Like, we can't find you. And I'm like, I promise it's up. And I've just been telling everybody it's not user friendly. So that is a huge tip to know that if you are like 18 and up adult content, it's not searchable.
On Patreon.
But you can Google it with the same handle, right, and find people. Because that's how people have been finding us.
Yeah, you should be able to find you on like the different platforms. But I know Patreon, you can't just go into like Patreon search bar and type in Salty Sex Cast. We will not come up. You have to actually plug in our
whole handle.
Patreon.com.
Yeah.
//slishy/ something or other.
Back and forward. Like, we'll just do
We
both.
go both ways.
Hey, girl, we do. But before I let you go, I wanted to share this story. So I had a peer romance party a few years ago.
Oh, yeah.
It's when I was known as Anal Alicia. No, I'm just kidding. but she was like, hey, you should throw a party. Like, that's how I got roped into it. I was at another party.
Oh,
apparently
always.
I go to all of them. I don't know. Only 2 in my life, but I sure got roped in hard for this party. And I was sold because I bought this vibrator and it was magical. And I was like, I will do that party. Like, after, you go home and test the product. And she's like, great, let's set it up. And I have this party. And when you have enough people come, you get
free product.
Yeah, you get extra credits. And I had so many people came. Like, I had like...
Dang, girl.
There's a lot of people fiending.
We should have a big podcast sex toy party.
That's where I was segueing, girl. No, you and I, like...
I just stole your thunder.
No, not at all. Like, it's just funny to me that we sat down. Again, this is the first time we're meeting, and I'm loving it because, like, our brains are a little similar. and that'd be a great idea. I was like, especially because when we were going back and forth in text, you were like, great, I'm looking forward to it. What kind of toys should I bring? And I was like, well...
Oh, I think I said, should I bring my strap on or do you have one?
Yes. It's like, no strap on, but I do have a few toys I could break out.
Oh, I have my toys too. Mm-hmm. And I'm like so partial. I'm like, I have so many. And then there's 2 that are like my favorite. And I'm like, and I feel guilty that I don't use the other ones. And I'm like, I'm sorry, friends. Another day. And then I'm like, nope, but still stick to my handy dandy trusty friend.
You know what would be smart, or an idea for what you could do for something, a little segment, is like get a new toy once a month and then do like a little review on it.
A live recorded demo, just voice recording now, you pervs.
That's why we're not searchable on Patreon, you guys.
I will live stream that on Twitch for what would be my cost on that?
OnlyFans?
OnlyFans.
Actually, they're taking they're not allowed to do that anymore.
They got rid of it and it's back again.
Oh, it is back again.
And they had to play nice with banks and there's a whole thing. I don't even know, but I'm glad I'm not on OnlyFans. Like, I have friends who that is their livelihood, so it would really suck if and even if OnlyFans doesn't work out, there's other platforms. They'll find a way. Yeah. My sexy ladies, my sexy friends, and I don't even want to say ladies because that's exclusive, but my sexy friends will find a way to give you that sexy content.
We always do, and you will. You will. So that's inevitable. You word vomited it. It's going to happen.
Yes.
We're going to do an episode. It has to happen. I'm determined now. I'm even going to go out and buy a new sex toy. So... To the text too, I almost typed out, and I was like, "Well, maybe you shouldn't say that quite yet, Alicia. Maybe you should meet her first before you go all out and crass." But I was like, "Well, I could break out the purple
swing?
dildo."
Oh, you were pointing up to the ceiling, and I was like, "The swing? Yeah."
I do have a swing, but I have not installed the proper
eye
hooks.
bolts.
Yeah,
they're called eye bolts.
We remembered that. That's important, you guys. But I mean,
gotta know your hardware.
I need a reliable man to.
No, you don't. I got plenty of lesbian friends that'll be over here in a heartbeat.
Well, I need them to like put it up for me so it's there.
In a stud.
Yeah.
Need a stud to find my stud.
Please
Stick it in
all the way, not just the tip. But I was like, I could break out my purple dildo that's in the shower. My fuck buddy was showering in there last weekend, and he was literally like, "Oh, Alicia, Alicia Marie.
Alicia
I run
Marie.
in. Yeah, it wasn't just it was like a mom moment. I run, I'm like, what's wrong? You know, I'm thinking there's a bug or like, I don't know. And he's just like, what is this?
Oh, I thought he fell on it.
That would be even better,
You
right?
know, all the ER stories. I fell on it. I slipped in the shower.
That would be another funny episode too, is like talking to someone who like had an accident and had to go to the emergency room. Obviously, like when you're in that situation, it's not laughable, but I imagine it'd be one of those things that as time passes, you could look back on it and laugh.
Yeah.
Because they even have that show, right? Sex took me to the ER, something
Yes.
like that.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, he was adamant. He's like, why do you need this? And I was like, what the fuck do you mean? I'm the best boyfriend I've ever had. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right?
It is what it is.
We're just slowly weeding out the need for men. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, until there's a spider in my house, and that's the only time I need a man. Like, straight up.
Vacuum.
I'm
You
not.
don't vacuum that up with like a 3-foot
'Kay.
little extender?
Before you leave, I'm going to show you this spider. That is long gone. I poisoned the shit out of it. But it was huge. It was huge. Nope.
No, I just got the chills already.
Nope. It was like a big garden spider, and I like went to go out my sliding glass door, and I literally almost walked into it. And it was probably
gross.
about this big and had even longer legs. This is just its body. It was bright orange and furry. It was like I could see the eyeballs looking at me. Like, what you doing, girl?
Oh, gross.
I'm here. My son named him Roy, and we killed him.
We killed them together.
He was cheering me on. He's like, "Get him, mommy, get him."
Yeah. Hairspray and a lighter is what that would have been.
I literally had like Raid, and I was like, but he wouldn't die. I felt bad. I was like, Roy,
I'm sorry for dragging this on. This isn't torture. You were supposed to die like...
I'm not even sorry, Roy. Like, you're the one that won't die. Like, just let it happen. Like, go towards the fucking light. Anyway, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I know you're busy,
Yes.
but I'll come to you next time if I need to.
'Kay.
And I will bring a shoebox of special little toys.
Isn't it always a shoebox?
I was a bridesmaid, and she's been on the show several times. Her name's Bethany. I was a bridesmaid in Bethany's wedding, and she got us all these really cute, like boxes that have like the magnetic strips so they close. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it had all of our names in cursive. Super cute, super thoughtful.
You're like, yep, that's a great sex
It
toy
was.
box. Thank you.
I mean, it initially came with like a champagne glass and some chocolates or lipstick, and yeah, it now contains like maybe 3 out of my 8 or 9 toys. You gotta have variety. It's important.
You do. Like, you can't just have one. I mean, you have your trusty friend that you know is just always there. But then you got to experiment every once in a while.
The one that always gets the job done.
Always. Unless you don't charge him, and then you're like, oh, shit.
You know, he literally survives long enough to make it to climax, and then it's dead. And you're like,
Or when it starts to die, so you're trying to turn it up a level, and you're like, ooh, I've never been on level 10, but we're here today.
but literally level 10 equates to level 5.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to gauge. I don't know. And no, I'll save that for next time.
All right.
I will, because that's a juicy comment I got there. I'm going to write it down.
You don't have to give it up all in one night.
Everyone squirts.
Our first date, you know, everyone squirts.
You just can't stop. When you're to the point where your toes are curling, you just keep going.
Yeah.
Believe me.
Don't stop.
Don't stop, ever.
Yeah.
Well, Mariah, I really appreciate you coming to your own neck of the woods, Ogden.
Yeah.
I really look forward to a blossoming friendship. I think you're awesome. What you're doing is great. I have really enjoyed. I just started on the podcast of 3 or 4 weeks ago, so I have a lot to catch up on. But what I've heard already, you're doing great things, and I think a lot of people need it. So continue kicking ass, my friend.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And right now we're only an episode every other week. We can't be weekly because that's how steamy we are. Like, y'all couldn't handle it.
Yeah. Well, that's
That's
why
really
we
is
only
just
do
me.
those book readings once a month. So, and they are steamy. Where can the people find you?
We are on Patreon, but I guess it's not a / it's patreon.com//something.
We're going to determine that after this.
Yeah, right. And we are on Facebook and where you get all your favorite podcasts. So just at Salty Sexcast, because we are salty from the sex education we didn't receive. And it's the Salt Lake, right? So it's just a little salty in there.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Salty
Awesome.
Sexcast.
I love it, and you're awesome.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you coming on. If you guys want to give us a follow on Instagram or Facebook, you can find us at hardtalkswithbnh@gmail.com. If you want to give us a follow us on Twitter, hardtalkswithb1. Email into the show at hardtalkswithbnh@gmail.com, and we could go on and on and on. But until next time, fam, I hope you have a great week. Be safe, be wise. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Bye.
Glad you bye. Hard talk about them.
Yeah.